The first big test of the 2025 Formula One season is here, and Ferrari has once again left fans disappointed with a disastrous weekend in Melbourne. What should have been a strong podium finish turned into a nightmare after a series of strategic miscalculations and communication failures. With McLaren dominating and Max Verstappen maintaining his edge, is Ferrari doomed for another season of frustration? More importantly, can Lewis Hamilton's arrival bring about the much-needed cultural shift within the team? There's no question about it, Melbourne was a massive fumble for Ferrari. After weeks of hype and optimism, the Italian squad showcased not just a lack of outright race pace, but also a severe weakness in their strategic decision-making. In changing weather conditions, the calls from the pit wall were inconsistent and ultimately cost them crucial positions. When both McLarens struggled at the end of the race and Lando Norris entered the pits, Ferrari had the perfect opportunity to respond. Instead, they hesitated. Even when Max Verstappen pitted, Ferrari still remained on track, missing a key chance to capitalize on the evolving conditions. To make matters worse, Charles Leclerc suggested splitting the strategies between the two Ferrari cars, but that option was dismissed. The primary issue? Misinformation from the team. Hamilton's race engineer, Riccardo Adami, told him that the rain was temporary and that they could manage on slicks. Meanwhile, Leclerc's engineer, Xavi Marcos, warned of a heavier downpour that made staying out on slicks a disastrous choice. The result? Ferrari drivers helplessly slipping down the order while their competitors made the right moves at the right time. Lewis Hamilton made it clear post-race that this was a massive missed opportunity. Speaking about his struggles, he said, "The race was very tricky and went a lot worse than I thought it would. The car was really hard to drive today. I'm just grateful I kept it out of the wall. There was a lot to take in, getting used to the new power unit, handling the car in wet conditions, and adjusting to different steering wheel settings. We missed out today, plain and simple." Hamilton's frustration was evident on the team radio. After exiting the pits under a safety car caused by Fernando Alonso, he inadvertently let slip some choice words out of frustration. His biggest gripe? The faulty weather information that dictated his pit strategy, which ultimately ruined his race. Hamilton's inability to pass Alex Albon for much of the race was another glaring issue. At one point, when he was advised to use the K1 button for extra power, he snapped back, "I'm too far away to use that button." A clear sign that he is still getting accustomed to Ferrari's setup and communication style. Hamilton wasn't the only frustrated Ferrari driver. Leclerc also voiced his disappointment after a race that saw him finish far lower than expected. He labeled the race a missed opportunity and admitted that a podium finish was realistic if the strategy had been right. It was definitely a missed opportunity. In changing conditions like these, when we don't have the outright pace, that's when we need to capitalize and score big points. We didn't do that today. We made the wrong choices when it mattered most. At one point, Leclerc even reported that his seat was full of water, to which his engineer, Xavi Marcos, nonchalantly responded, "It must be from all the water outside." It's exactly this kind of dismissive communication that Ferrari needs to eliminate if they want to challenge for the championship. What makes this result even more disappointing is the fact that Ferrari admitted before the race that they had sacrificed qualifying pace to focus on their race performance. Yet, despite these sacrifices, they were slower than McLaren, Red Bull, and even Mercedes. If Hamilton's race pace was anything to go by, they might even be behind Racing Bulls and Williams. Leclerc admitted after the race, "We were definitely off in terms of pace compared to McLaren and Verstappen. Mercedes was around the same level as us, but McLaren and Red Bull were just much faster. We have a lot of work to do." In a season where competitiveness has increased significantly, Ferrari cannot afford to make these kinds of strategic and communication blunders. With McLaren appearing to be in a league of their own and Verstappen consistently delivering masterful drives, Ferrari's inconsistency will cost them dearly. Ferrari had at least one podium finish within reach before their strategy let them down. While Leclerc admitted his mistake in one crucial moment, it was Ferrari's late reaction in the pits that sealed their fate. This raises the question, can Hamilton influence Ferrari's internal culture and decision-making? Hamilton has always been known for his attention to detail and his ability to extract the most from his team. But even with his experience, he can only do so much if the communication issues persist. Ferrari must prioritize refining their internal operations, ensuring their engineers and strategists are all on the same page. Otherwise, the same problems that have haunted them in recent years will continue to be their Achilles heel. Ferrari's 2025 season is off to a frustrating start. Poor strategy, lack of clear communication, and inconsistent decision-making turned a potential podium finish into an 8th and 10th place result. While Hamilton is still adapting to the SF25, Ferrari's operational issues remain their biggest obstacle to success. So what do you think? Can Hamilton help transform Ferrari's culture, or are we in for another season of strategic blunders? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to hear about Liam Lawson's shocking Red Bull debut, check out the video appearing on your screen right now.